Good morning and welcome to the Committee on Women and Gender Equity. At this time, we ask if you could please place phones on vibrate or silent mode. Thank you, Chair. We are ready to begin.
Good morning. My name is Tiffany Kalan. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the chair of the Committee on Women and Gender Equity. Today, our committee will vote on 5 pieces of legislation concerning menstrual equity and 1 resolution pertaining to housing survivors of domestic violence. Each day, over 800 million people on the planet are menstruating, with at least 500 million of those people lacking adequate resources for managing their periods. The lack of menstrual equity is due to inadequacies as a result of a misunderstanding of the populations that are affected by menstrual equity, including gender-expansive people, as well as inadequate or inconsistent access to period products and choice between products. The set of 5 bills are intended to promote menstrual equity in New York City by making menstrual product language gender expansive, increasing the level of choice of products in schools, shelters, and correctional facilities, and requiring reporting to monitor the distribution of these resources. First, we will be voting on legislation that I am proud to sponsor, intro number 1055-A, which is a local law to amend the Administrative Code of the City of New York in relation to menstrual products. The introduction would require all laws, documents, and other materials generated by the city to use the terminology menstrual product when referring to products such as menstrual cups, tampons, and menstrual pads for use in connection with the menstrual cycle. This legislation would also require the Department of Education to report on the provision of menstrual products in schools. We will also vote on intro number 1056A, sponsored by Councilmember De La Rosa, a local law to amend the Administrative Code of the City of New York in relation to the provision of menstrual products in schools. This intro would expand the existing age group of students to whom the Department of Education is mandated to provide menstrual products from beginning at grade 6 to beginning at grade 4. Additionally, we will also vote on 3 pieces of legislation sponsored by Councilmember Farias. First, intro number 1057A, a local law to amend the Administrative Code of the City of New York in relation to requiring the Department of Correction to report on its distribution of menstrual products. This would require the Department of Correction to produce an annual report on its distribution of menstrual products and to report the average daily population of individuals in custody disaggregated by gender, the number of products ordered by the department disaggregated by product type, the number of products distributed to city correctional facilities disaggregated by product type, and the number of products distributed to individuals in custody disaggregated by product type. The second bill, sponsored again by Councilmember Farias, 1058A, local law to amend the Administrative Code of the City of New York in relation to education on menstrual products. This would require the DOE to develop, in collaboration with the Commission on Gender Equity, informational materials about menstrual products to be shared with every student in grades 4 through 12. This bill would also require DOE to submit to the mayor and the speaker and publish on its website an annual report regarding the distribution of such informational materials. The third bill, sponsored by Councilmember Farias, is intro 1059A, local law to amend the Administrative Code of the City of New York in relation to including menstrual cups in the definition of menstrual products and the provision of such products. It would expand the current definition of menstrual products in the Administrative Code to include menstrual cups and require the Department of Citywide Administrative Services to include menstrual cups in the provision of menstrual products to agencies, temporary shelters, and youth detention or congregate care facilities. This bill would also require the Department of Correction to provide all people in custody who menstruate access to reusable or single-use menstrual cups while in custody, and to provide reusable menstrual cups to those who request such a cup upon release from the department's custody. Finally, we will also vote on resolution number 165A, sponsored by Councilmember Lewis, which is a resolution calling on the state legislature to pass and the governor to sign Assembly Bill 2583, Senate Bill 15, authorizing certain shelters for victims of domestic violence to be reimbursed for any payment differential for housing a single individual in a room intended for double occupancy. Within New York City, domestic violence shelters were created over several decades as a short-term respite to house families fleeing imminent danger. Nonprofit providers who operate these shelters are reimbursed by the New York State Office of Children and Family Services on a per-person, per-night basis, which is intended to cover the costs of the shelter's rent, utilities, staffing, services, and other inflationary factors. Any reduction in this reimbursement severely impacts the ability of the provider to cover the cost of operating the shelter. The state reimbursement policy prioritizes sheltering larger families to the exclusion of smaller families and single adults. This resolution supports rectifying that policy and would call on the state to enact legislation to authorize certain shelters for victims of domestic violence and being reimbursed for any payment differential for housing a single individual in a room intended for double occupancy. At this time, I'd like to invite my colleagues to give remarks on their legislation, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Councilmember Farias.
Thank you, Chair Caban, and I will start with thanking you for the extensive amount of time since there are 3 bills. I'm proud to be here this morning to watch this committee vote on several bills are part of the menstrual equity bill package. As a woman and the chair of the Women's Caucus, I am so excited to see much of our work this year come full circle. Menstrual equity stands as a fundamental pillar of justice, particularly for women and gender-expansive individuals in the vibrant and diverse landscape of New York City. Access to menstrual hygiene products is not merely a matter of personal convenience, it is a matter of dignity, health, and equality. I am proud to be the prime sponsor on Intros 1057A, 1058A, additionally a co-prime with Chair Caban on Intro 1055A, and with Councilmember De La Rosa on 1056A, and with the Public Advocate Jumaane Williams on 1059A. These bills are bringing this city forward for all people. Intro 1057A requires the Department of Correction to produce an annual report specifying the amount of menstrual products ordered by the department, disaggregated by product type, the amount of such product distributed to correctional facilities, and the location and amount of products distributed by each facility. Intro 1058A requires the Department of Education to develop, in collaboration with the Commission on Gender Equity, informational materials about menstrual products to be shared with every student in grades 4 through 12. The bill would also require DOE to submit to the mayor and the speaker and publish on its website an annual report regarding and distributing of such informational materials. Intro 1059A expands the current definition of menstrual products in the Administrative Code to include menstrual cups and require the Department of Citywide Administrative Services to include menstrual cups in the provision of menstrual products to agencies, temporary shelters, and to youth detention centers or congregate care facilities. This bill would also require the Department of Correction to provide all people in custody who menstruate access to reusable or single-use single-use menstrual cups while in custody, to provide reusable menstrual cups to those who request such cup upon release from the department's custody. Additionally, Intro 1055A would require all laws, documents, and other materials generated by the city to use terminology menstrual product when referring to products such as menstrual cups, tampons, and pads for the use of connection with the menstrual cycle. This bill is about inclusive language and bringing New York City up to par. Thank you to Chair Caban for leading on this. Intro number 1056A would expand the existing age group of students to whom the Department of Education is mandated to provide menstrual products from beginning at grade 6 to beginning at grade 4. Expanding the provision of menstrual products within the Department of Education's mandate from grade 6 to grade 4 represents a pivotal step towards inclusivity and recognizing the diverse needs of students in their formative years. Menstruation is a biological reality that does not wait for a specific age, and it is essential to acknowledge this by extending support to younger students. By beginning the provision of menstrual products at grade 4, we ensure that every student, regardless of age, has access to the resources they need to manage their menstrual hygiene with dignity, and aligns with the diverse onset of puberty in children and ensures that no student is caught unaware or unprepared. Thanks to Speaker Adams and Councilmember Carmen De La Rosa for leading on this bill. Lastly, thank you to the hard work of our bill drafter, Sahar Moazami, and my Deputy Chief of Staff, Rebecca Nieves, and to all of our advocates that have been working with us profusely on ensuring we're up to par here in New York City. I urge my colleagues to vote yes on all of these bills, and thank you for the partnership and additional time, Chair Caban.
Thank you. I would also like to thank the advocates, providers, and those with lived experience who informed and helped shape this legislation. I want to acknowledge my colleagues who are here today. Councilmember Vernikov, obviously already acknowledged Councilmember Farias, Councilmember Gutierrez, Kristen Richardson Jordan, and Kevin Riley. Finally, I'd like to thank my own staff, Chief of Staff Celia Castellan, Communications and Strategy Director Jesse Meyerson, Legislative and Budget Director Madhuri Shukla, Committee Staff, Committee Counsel Sahar Moazami, and Senior Legislative Policy Analyst Christy Dwyer for their work on this hearing. And now I will call on the clerk to call the roll.
Good morning. William Martin, Committee Clerk. Roll call vote, Committee on Women and Gender Equity. All items are coupled. Chair Caban.
Aye on all.
Riley.
Aye.
Gennaro. Gutierrez.
Aye.
Richardson Jordan.
Aye.
Stevens. Vernikov.
No on 1055A and aye on the rest.
Okay.
And I believe we'll be holding the vote open for a couple more members.
Sure. So with a vote of 5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and no abstentions, items 1056A, 1057A, 1058A, and 1059A with resolution 165A are adopted with the committee, and with a vote of 4 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative, no abstentions, proposed introduction 1055A is also adopted. And the roll will be held open at request of the chair.